Good morning, everyone. Another read and sit with Jaro. Welcome to the channel. Just want to let y'all know that I have a new ebook and audiobook available. You can check it out. I pinned it in the comments, so please take a look when you have the time. Definitely worth it. Comes with a 30-day meditation challenge. So if you've been wanting to start your meditative practice, this book, Following Your Charm, really explains the benefits, the challenges, and the how-to with the meditation technique. So today I will be reading from 3 books. This one we started last week, called Loving What Is. 4 Questions That Can Change Your Life by Byron Katie. So her work is pretty incredible. Sometimes it can be a bit jarring, especially if you've never heard her process before. So right now we're in a dialogue between Byron Katie and someone she's doing the work with. Mary, reading the statements from her worksheet. I hate my husband because he drives me crazy. Everything about him, including the way he breathes. What disappoints me is that I don't love him anymore, and our relationship is a charade. I want him to be more successful, to not want to have sex with me, to get in shape, to get a life outside of me and the children, to not touch me anymore, and to be more powerful. My husband shouldn't fool himself that he's good at our business. He should create more success. My husband is a wimp. He's needy and lazy. He's fooling himself. I refuse to keep living a lie. I refuse to keep living my relationships as an imposter. Katie, does this pretty well sum it up? The audience bursts into laughter, and Mary laughs along with them. By the sound of the laughter, it seems as though you speak for a lot of people in this room. So, let's start at the top and see if we can begin to understand what's going on. Mary, I hate my husband because he drives me crazy. Everything about him, including the way he breathes. Katie, your husband drives you crazy? Is that true? This is the first of the 4 questions. Is it true? Mary, yes. Katie, okay. What's an example of that, sweetheart? He breathes? Mary, he breathes. When we're doing conference calls for our business, I can hear his breath on the other end of the telephone, and I want to scream. Katie, so his breath drives you crazy? Is this true? Mary, yes. Katie, can you absolutely know that that's true? The second question, can you absolutely know that it's true? Mary, yes. Katie, we can all relate to that. I hear that it's really true for you. In my experience, it can't be your husband's breath that's driving you crazy. It has to be your thoughts about his breath that are driving you crazy. So let's take a closer look and see if that's true. What are your thoughts about his breath on the phone? Mary, that he should be more aware that he's breathing loudly during a conference call. Katie, how do you react when you think that thought? The third question, how do you react when you think that thought? Mary, I feel like I want to kill him. Katie, so what's more painful, the thought you attach to his breathing or his breathing? Mary, the breathing is more painful. I'm comfortable with the thought that I want to kill him. Mary laughs, and so does the audience. Katie, you can keep that thought. That's the beautiful thing about the work. You can keep all your thoughts. Mary, I've never done the work before, so I don't know any of the right answers. Katie, Your answers are perfect, sweetheart. Don't rehearse. So he's breathing on the phone, and you have the thought that he should be more aware, and he's not. What's the next thought? Mary. It brings up every terrible thought I have about him. Katie. Okay, he's still breathing. He should stop breathing into the phone on the conference call. What's the reality of it? Does he? Mary. No, I've told him to stop. Katie. And he still does it. That's the reality. What's true is always what's happening, not the story about what should be happening. He should stop breathing on the phone. Is that true? Mary, after a pause. No, it's not true. He's doing it. That's what's true. That's reality. Katie, so how do you react when you think that thought that he should stop breathing on the phone and he doesn't? Mary, how do I react? I want out. It feels uncomfortable because I know I want out and I know I'm not going anywhere. Katie, let's move back to inquiry, honey, rather than moving further into your story. Your interpretation of what's happening, do you really want to know the truth? Mary, yes. Katie, okay. It helps if we stick to one written statement at a time. Can you see a reason to drop the thought that he should stop breathing on the phone? This is an additional question that Katie sometimes asks. For those of you new to the work, if you hear what I'm asking, if you hear that I'm asking Mary to drop her story, let's make it very clear. I'm not. This is not about getting rid of our thoughts or about overcoming, improving, or surrendering them. None of that. This is about realizing for yourself internal cause and effect. The question is simply, can you see a reason to drop this thought? Mary, yes, I can. It would be a lot more enjoyable to do conference calls without this thought. Katie, that's a good reason. Can you find a stress-free reason to keep this thought, this lie, that he should stop breathing on the phone? A second additional question. Mary, no. Katie, who would you be without that thought? The fourth question, who would you be without the thought? Who would you be while you're on a conference call with your husband if you didn't have the ability to think that thought? Mary, I'd be much happier. I'd be much more powerful. I wouldn't be distracted. Katie, yes, sweetheart, that's it. It's not his breathing that is causing your problem. It is your thoughts about his breathing because you haven't investigated them to see that they oppose reality in the moment. Let's look at your next statement. Mary, I don't love him anymore. Katie, is that true? Mary, yes. Katie, okay, good. I hear that. And do you really want to know the truth? Mary, yes. Katie, okay, be still. There's no right or wrong answer. You don't love him. Is that true? Mary is silent. If you had to answer honestly, either yes or no, right now, and you had to live forever with your answer, your truth or your lie, what would your answer be? You don't love him. Is that true? There's a long pause, then Mary begins to cry. Mary, no, it's not true. Katie, that's a very courageous answer. If we answer it that way, with what's really true for ourselves, we think there may be a way out. Is it true? Is just a question. We're terrified to answer a simple question honestly because we project what that may mean in the imagined future. We think we have to do something about it. How do you react when you believe the thought that you don't love him? Mary, it makes my whole life a stupid charade. Katie, can you see a reason to drop this thought that you don't love him? And I'm not asking you to drop the thought. Mary, yes, I can see a reason to drop it. Katie, can you think of one stress-free reason to keep the thought? Mary, after a long pause, I think if I keep my story, then I can keep him from wanting to have sex all the time. Katie, is that a stress-free reason? It seems stressful to me. Mary, I guess it is. Katie, can you find one stress-free reason to keep that thought? Mary, oh, I see. No, there aren't any stress-free reasons to keep the story. Katie, fascinating. Who would you be standing with your husband without the thought that you don't love him? Mary, it would be great. It would be fabulous. That's what I want. Katie, I'm hearing that with the thought, it's stressful, and without the thought, it's fabulous. So, what does your husband have to do with your unhappiness? We're just noticing here. So, I don't love my husband. Turn it around. After the 4 questions comes the turnaround. Mary, I do love my husband. Katie, feel it. It has nothing to do with him, does it? Mary, no, it really doesn't. I do love my husband, and you're right. It doesn't have anything to do with him. Katie, and sometimes you think you hate him, and that doesn't have anything to do with him either. The man's just breathing. You tell the story that you love him, or you tell the story that you hate him. It doesn't take 2 people to have a happy marriage. It only takes one, you. There's another turnaround. Mary, I don't love myself. I can relate to that one. Mary, and you may think that if you divorce him, then you'll feel good. But have if you haven't investigated your thinking, you'll attach the same concepts onto whatever comes into your life next. We don't attach to people or to things, we attach to uninvestigated concepts that we believe to be true in the moment. Let's look at the next statement on your worksheet. Mary, I want my husband not to be needy, not to be dependent on me, to be more successful, to not want to have sex with me, to get in shape, to get a life outside of me and the children, and to be more powerful. Those are just a few. Katie, let's turn the whole statement around. Mary, I want me not to be needy. I want to not be dependent on him. I want to be more successful. I want me to want to have sex with him. I want me to get in shape. I want me to get a life outside of him and the children. I want me to be more powerful. Katie, so we shouldn't be needy. Is it true? What's the reality of it? Is he? Mary, he's needy. Katie, he shouldn't be needy is a lie because the guy is needy, according to you. So, how do you react when you think the thought, he shouldn't be needy, and in your reality, he is needy? Mary, I just want to run away all the time. Katie, who would you be in his presence without the thought he shouldn't be needy? Mary, what I just understood is that I could be with him in a space of love instead of just having my defenses up. It's like if I notice any bit of neediness, I'm out of there. I've got to run. That's what I do with my life. Katie, when he's acting needy, in your opinion, you don't say no honestly. You run away or want to run away instead of being honest with yourself and him. Mary, that's true. Katie, well, it would have to be. You have to call him needy until you can get some clarity and honest communication going with yourself. So let's be clear. You be him and be very needy. I'll take the role of clarity. Mary, Mr. Needy comes in and says, I just had the best phone call. You've got to hear about it. It was this guy, and he's going to be fabulous in the business. And I had another call, dot, dot, dot. You know, he just goes on and on. Meanwhile, I'm busy. I've got a deadline. Katie, sweetheart, I hear that you had a wonderful phone call. I love that. And I would also like you to leave the room now. I have a deadline to meet. Mary, we have to talk about our plans. We're going to Hawaii. We have to figure out what airlines, dot, dot, dot. Katie, I hear that you want to talk about our plans for Hawaii. So let's discuss this at dinner tonight. I really want you to leave the room now. I have a deadline to meet. Mary, If one of your girlfriends called, you would talk to her for an hour. Now you can't listen to me for 2 minutes? Katie, you could be right, and I want you to leave the room now. It may sound cold, but it's not. I just have a deadline to meet. Mary, I don't do it like that. Usually I'm mean to him. I just seethe. Katie, you have to be mean because you're afraid to tell the truth and say no. You don't say, sweetheart, I would like you to leave. I have a deadline. Because you want something from him. What scam are you running on yourself and him? What do you want from him? Mary, I'm never straightforward with anybody. Because you want something from us. Katie, because you want something from us. What is it? Mary, I can't stand when somebody doesn't like me. I don't want disharmony. Katie, so you want our approval? Mary, yes, and I want to maintain harmony. Katie, sweetheart, if your husband approves of what you say and what you do, then there is a harmony in your home. Is that true? Does it work? Is there harmony in your home? Mary, no. Katie, you trade your integrity for harmony in the home. It doesn't work. Spare yourself from seeking love, approval, or appreciation from anyone. And watch what happens in reality. Just for fun, read your statement again. Mary, I want my husband not to be needy. All right, turn it around. Mary, I want me not to be needy. Katie, yes, you need all this harmony. You need his approval. You need his breathing to change. You need his sexuality to change for you. Who is the needy one? Who is dependent on whom? So let's turn the whole list around. Mary, I want myself not to be needy, not to be dependent. ... Katie, or your husband, perhaps? Mary, I want myself to be more successful. I want myself not to want to have sex with me. Katie, that one could be really legitimate if you sit with it. How many times do you tell the story of how he has sex with you and you hate it? Mary, constantly. Katie, yes, you're having sex with him in your mind and thinking how terrible that it is. You tell the story over and over of what it's like having sex with your husband. That story is what is repelling you, not your husband. Sex without a story has never repelled anyone. It just is what it is. You're having sex or you're not. It's our thoughts about sex that repel us. Write that one too. Write that one out too, honey. You could write a whole worksheet on your husband and sexuality. Mary, I get it. Katie, okay, turn the next statement around. Mary, I want me to get in shape, but I am in shape. Katie, oh, really? How about mentally? Mary, oh, I could work on that. Katie, are you doing the best you can? Mary, yes. Katie, well, maybe he is too. Suppose he's supposed to be in shape. Is that true? Mary, no, he's not in shape. Katie, how do you react when you believe the thought that he should be in shape and he's not? How do you treat him? What do you say? What do you do? Mary, everything is subtle. I show him my muscles. I don't ever look at him with approval. I don't ever admire him. I don't ever do anything kind in that direction. Katie, okay, close your eyes. Look at yourself looking at him that way. Now look at his face. There is a pause. Mary sighs. Keep your eyes closed and look at him again. What would you be standing there with him without the thought that he should be in shape? Mary, I would look at him and see how handsome he is. Katie, yes, Angel. And you'd see how much you love him. Isn't that fascinating? This is very exciting. So let's just be there a moment. Look at how you treat him and how he still wants to go to Hawaii with you. That's amazing. Mary, what's amazing about this guy is that I'm so horrible and mean, and he loves me without conditions. It drives me nuts. Katie, he drives you nuts? Is that true? Mary, no. So far, it's been my thinking that drives me nuts. Katie, so let's go back. He should get in shape. Turn it around. Mary, I should get in shape. I should get my thinking in shape. Katie. Yes, every time you look at him and are repulsed, get your thinking in shape. Judge your husband, write it down, and ask 4 questions and turn it around. But only if you are tired of the pain. Okay, honey, I think you've got it. Just continue through the rest of the statements on your worksheet in the same manner. I love sitting with you and welcome to inquiry. Welcome to the book. Welcome to the work. Step aside from all thinking, and there is nowhere you can't go. Sang Sun, the third founding teacher of Zen. In loving what is, Katie has given you everything you need in order to do the work by yourself or with others. The book will guide you step by step through the whole process, and along the way, it will show you many people doing the work directly with Katie. These one-on-one dialogues in which Katie brings her clarity to the most complicated human problems are examples, dramatic examples, some of them, of how ordinary people can find their own freedom through inquiry. Stephen Mitchell. Okay, that's definitely more than the 2 pages that I usually read from each book, but it's kind of hard to get a full scope of what Katie's doing with people unless you hear the full conversation she has. So I find this book, I listen to the audiobook and I find it to be very super powerful. It is the work though. It's not necessarily easy. It takes intentionality and effort to really sit with it. Now for definitely one of, if not my most favorite book, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. This book is just like sipping on the cleanest, purest water. It's so clear. Yeah, the last section was just mind-blowing. So, chapter 10, A New Earth. Gotta sip my bergamot tea. Also, I got my new internet, so the stream should be better than ever. Getting through this cold that's just thrashed my reality for over 2 weeks, and a pretty gnarly back injury that is like a continuation of an injury that I had like a decade ago. And this one really took me down, especially with the cold. Talk about feelings of the dark night of the soul. Tell you what. So anyway, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. Chapter 10, A New Earth. Astronomers have discovered evidence to suggest that the universe came into existence 15 billion years ago in a gigantic explosion and has been expanding ever since. Not only has it been expanding, but it's also growing in complexity and becoming more and more differentiated. Some scientists also postulate that this movement from unity to multiplicity will eventually become reversed. The universe will then stop expanding and begin to contract again and finally return to the unmanifested, the inconceivable nothingness out of which it came, and perhaps repeat the cycle of birth, expansion, contraction, and death again and again. For what purpose? Why does the universe go to all the bother of existing? Asks physicist Stephen Hawking. Realizing at the same time that no mathematical model could ever supply the answer. If you look within rather than only without, however, you discover that you have an inner and outer purpose. And since you are a microcosmic reflection of the macrocosm, it follows that the universe too has an inner and outer purpose, inseparable from yours. The outer purpose of the universe is to create form and experience the interaction of form, the play, the dream, the drama, or whatever you choose to call it. Its inner purpose is to awaken to its formless essence. Then comes the reconciliation of outer and inner purpose, to bring that essence, consciousness, into the world of form and thereby transform the world. The ultimate purpose of that transformation goes far beyond anything the human mind can imagine or comprehend. And yet, on this planet, at this time, that transformation is the task allotted to us. That is the reconciliation of outer and inner purpose, the reconciliation of the world and God. Before we look at what relevance the expansion and contraction of the universe has on your own life, we need to bear in mind here that nothing we say about the nature of the universe should be taken as the absolute truth. Neither concepts nor mathematical formula can explain the infinite. No thought can encapsulate the vastness of the totality. Reality is a unified whole, but thoughts cut it up into fragments. This gives rise to fundamental misperceptions, for example, that there are separate things and events, or that this is the cause for that. Every thought implies a perspective. Every perspective, by its very nature, implies limitation, which ultimately means that it is not true, at least not absolutely. Only the world is true, but the whole cannot be spoken or thought. Seen from beyond the limitations of thinking and therefore incomprehensible to the human mind, everything is happening now. All that ever has been or will be is now outside of time, which is a mental construct. As an illustration of relative and absolute truth, consider the sunrise and sunset. When we say the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, that is true, but only relatively. In absolute terms, it is false. Only from the limited perspective of an observer or or on or near the planet's surface does the sun rise and set. If you were far out in space, you would see that the sun neither rises nor sets, but that it shines continuously. And yet, even after realizing that, we can continue to speak of the sunrise or sunset, still see its beauty, paint it, write poems about it, even though we now know that it is a relative rather than an absolute truth. So let us continue to speak for a moment of another relative truth: the coming into form of the universe and its return to the formless, which implies the limited perspective of time, and see what relevance this has to your own life. The notion of my own life is, of course, another limited perspective created by thought, another relative truth. There is ultimately no such thing as your life, since you and life are not two, but one. A brief history of your life. The coming into manifestation of the world, as well as its return to the unmanifested, the expansion and contraction, are two universal movements that we would call the outgoing and the return home. Those two movements are reflected throughout the universe in many ways, such as in the incessant expansion and contraction of your heart, as well as the inhalation and exhalation of your breath. They are also reflected in the cycles of sleep and wakefulness. Each night, without knowing it, you return to the unmanifested source of all life when you enter the stage of deep, dreamless sleep, and then re-emerge again in the morning, replenished. Those two movements, the outgoing and the return, are also reflected in each person's life cycles. Out of nowhere, so to speak, you suddenly appear in this world, birth is followed by expansion. There is not only physical growth, but also growth of knowledge, activities, possessions, experiences. Your sphere of influence expands and life becomes increasingly complex. This is a time when you are mainly concerned with findings on pursuing your outer purpose. Usually, there is also a corresponding growth of the ego, which is identification with all the above things, and so your form identity becomes more and more defined. This is also the time when outer purpose, growth, tends to become usurped by the ego, which, unlike nature, does not know when to stop in its pursuit of expansion and has a voracious appetite for more. And then, just when you thought you made it, or that you belong here, the return movement begins again. Perhaps people close to you begin to die, people who were part of your world. Then your physical form weakens, your sphere of influence shrinks. Instead of becoming more, you now become less. And the ego reacts to this with increasing anxiety or depression. Your world is beginning to contract, and you may find you are not in control anymore. Instead of acting upon life, life now acts upon you by slowly reducing your world. This consciousness the consciousness that identified with form is now experiencing the sunset, the dissolution of form. And then one day you too disappear. Your armchair is still there, but instead of you sitting in it, there's just an empty space. You went back to where you came from just a few years ago. Each person's life, each life form, in fact, represents a world, a unique way in which the universe experiences itself. And when your form dissolves, a world comes to an end, one of countless worlds. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful book. Could just keep going and going on that. Honestly, as I read Eckhart Tolle, it's like the thoughts and intuitions that I've had and have not been able to so eloquently express truly come through and find a voice, find a coherence that has not truly expressed itself before. If blowing air horns were appropriate, I would blow the air horn whenever I'm reading Eckhart Tolle. The air horn of truth. And finally, to I Am That, Talks with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. This book is excellent, although sometimes hard to read and to understand. But I think primarily that's because the wisdom in this book is truly to bring us beyond mental understanding. Also doesn't help that it is translated from, I think, Bengal, or at least a few different Indian dialects, into English, and seems to have been done somewhat hastily, as there's a lot of typos. And still, nonetheless, it is definitely an excellent book. So this is a discussion between Maharaj, the master, the teacher, and the questioner. Questioner, when you sleep, are you conscious or unconscious? Maharaj, I remain conscious, but not conscious of being a particular person. Questioner, can you give us the taste of the experience of self-realization? Maharaj, take the whole of it. It is here for the asking, but you do not ask. Even when you ask, you do not take. Find out what prevents you from taking. Questioner, I know what prevents my ego. Maharaj, get busy with your ego. Leave me alone. As long as you are locked up within your mind, my state is beyond your grasp. Questioner, I find I have no more questions to ask. Maharaj, were you really at war with your ego? You would have put many more questions. You are short of questions because you are not really interested. At present, you are moved by the pleasure-pain principle, which is the ego. You are going along with the ego. You are not fighting it. You are not even aware how totally you are swayed by personal considerations. A man should always be in revolt against himself for the ego. like a cooked like a crooked mirror narrows down and distorts. It is the worst of all the tyrants. It dominates you absolutely. Questioner. Where there is no I, who is free? Maharaj, the world is free of a mighty nuisance. Good enough. Questioner. Good for whom? Maharaj, good for everybody. It is like a rope stretched across the street. It snarls up traffic. Roll it up. It is there as merely identity, useful when needed. Freedom from the ego self is the fruit of self-inquiry. Questioner. There was a time when I was most displeased with myself. Now I have met my guru, and I am at peace after having surrendered myself to him completely. Maharaj, if you watch your daily life, you will see that you have surrendered nothing. You have merely added the word surrender to your vocabulary and made your guru into a peg to hang your problems on. Real surrender means doing nothing, unless prompted by the guru. You step, so to say, aside and let your guru live your life. You merely watch and wonder how easily he solves the problems which to you seemed insoluble. Questioner. As I sit here, I see the room, the people, I see you too. How does it look at your end? What do you see? Maharaj. Nothing. I look, but I don't see in the sense of creating images clothed with judgment. Nothing. I look, but I do not see in the sense of creating images clothed with judgment. I do not describe nor evaluate. I look, I see you, but neither attitude nor opinion cloud my vision. And when I turn my eyes away, my mind does not allow memory to linger. It is at once free and fresh for the next impression. Questioner. As I am here looking at you, I cannot locate the event in space and time. There is something eternal and universal about the transmission of wisdom that is taking place. 10,000 years earlier or later make no difference. The event itself is timeless. Maharaj, man does not change much over the ages. Human problems remain the same and call for the same answers. Your being conscious of what you call transmission of wisdom shows that wisdom has not yet been transmitted. When you have it, you are no longer conscious of it. What is really your own, you are not conscious of. What you are conscious of is neither you nor yours. Yours is the power of perception, not what you perceive. It is a mistake to take the conscious to be the whole of man. Man is the unconscious. Conscious, man is the unconscious, conscious and the superconscious, but you are not the man. Yours is the cinema screen, the light as well as the screen. Yours is the cinema screen, the light as well as the seeing power, but the picture is not you. Okay. Now for sitting. Find a comfortable seated posture in which you are relaxed and steady. Begin by taking 9 full deep breaths. Counting to 3 on the inhale and 6 on the exhale. The longer exhale helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which triggers your body and shows it and lets it know that it is okay, that it is safe, it can relax. And you can count your breaths on each finger as you breathe. It's quite helpful. Full breaths into the whole body on the count of 3. Inhale and exhaling for the count of 6. Consciously breathing. Paying attention to the sensations of the breath through the body. Noticing the life-giving quality of the breath. Each exhale, relaxing a little deeper. Once you finish your 9 breaths, counting to 3 on the inhale and counting to 6 on the exhale, return to natural breathing. Knowing that you can always return to the awareness of the breath, the sensation of the breath, noticing the life-giving quality of the breath, the rising and the falling of the breathing, and the space between breaths. Starting to notice the experience of life in the body, from the tips of the toes to the top of the head, scanning the entire body, millimeter by millimeter, noticing the life force that pervades the entire body and this life force that you are. It can help by scanning the sensations on the body from the tips of each and every single toe on the right side and the left side, all the way up the leg into the hip, the pelvis, sacrum, scanning the sensations of the clothing, of the air, of the seat you're on. More importantly, noticing the life within the body itself. It might be somewhat of a strange experience or thought. You may have never really paid attention to this, but it is there. It is the life force that you are that animates this body. It might first be just the sensation on the skin, maybe a warmth, a tingling. You can put forth the question into your body, how do I know that I'm alive? What is this life force that animates this body? Scanning up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, all through the whole back, the sides of the body, the stomach, abdomen, chest, the whole torso, through each arm, the right, wrapping your awareness around your shoulder, bicep, past the elbow, forearm, into the hand, each finger, wrapping your awareness around the other arm, from the shoulder down, all the way around into the hand, each finger, continuing the awareness up through the neck, the back, the sides, the front, up into the head, wrapping your awareness around the entire head, your chin, your lips, your cheeks, your nose, your eyes, eyebrows, and forehead. Noticing the subtle life force that pulses throughout the body and animates the body. Letting the breath rise and fall naturally, tethering the life into this body, and enjoying the breath, enjoying the life force in the body. There's a subtle bliss, a subtle ananda that accompanies this life force. And it is always there to enjoy when we remember our nature. This Satchitananda, this being of consciousness and bliss. Now shift your awareness into each sense, noticing the sense itself. It may be accompanied initially with the sense objects, but the idea is that we're becoming aware of the sense itself. Start with a subtle sense of taste. Noticing taste. First, it might be some lingering taste of what you have eaten, what you have drank, or maybe not much at all. But really pay attention to the sensation of taste more so than the object of the sense. Noticing that each sense, when we pay close attention, can almost exclude all other senses. It becomes a whole world unto itself. And when the mind gets distracted, becomes drowsy, or follows a thought or emotion or sensation, bring it back to the sense of taste. Just noticing. Now bring the sensation awareness into smell. Even the subtle warmth of each exhale and the sudden coolness of each inhale around the nostrils. Pay attention to the world that is smell. Each of the senses is a gateway, is a portal to deeper awareness, to remembering what you are. Noticing the sense of smell. Again, it might start with the actual objects of the senses, but more specifically, to focus, to become aware of the sense itself, the entire world that opens up in that sense. Consciousness and awareness, experiencing the world of objects through the senses, through this particular configuration of this body, of your body, your unique configuration. Now, whether your eyes are open or closed, bring your awareness into the sense of sight. Not particularly looking at anything, yet becoming distinctly aware of sight itself. Noticing any thoughts arise or pass or sensations come and go, yet resting your awareness into the sense of sight. And if you become completely absorbed into the sense of sight, it is almost as if every other sense suspends or doesn't exist at all. This is the power of placing your attention, your direct awareness into any of the specific senses. It is very powerful. Each sense becomes a world unto itself. Again, not particularly focusing on any sense object, more so being aware of sensing itself. This practice is a gateway into direct experience of experience itself. Awareness, being aware of itself, being itself. Now bringing your awareness into the sense of hearing. You might be aware of that which you can hear in your environment, whether the heater, the furnace, the fridge, people, cars passing, birds, animals, wind, the trees, rain, whatever the sounds are, noticing the sensation of hearing itself. Noticing that each sensation is so alive, sensing itself is a gateway into the present moment, especially when we no longer label any of the senses. We just rest in the awareness itself. This is why breathing, being aware of the breath, being aware of each sense as it is, allowing it to be, resting in the natural life of the body, the natural life-giving properties of the breath, resting in sensing the world directly, allowing it to arise and pass, being very present, is a gateway into the here and now, which is beyond time and space, simply being fully alive, fully present. Noticing any thoughts that might arise, memories or imagination. Truly, all thoughts arise and pass. Some are more alluring, some seem more insignificant. Some we identify with, some we do not. And just like all the objects of the senses, so too the thoughts arise and pass within the field of awareness, within the field of consciousness. All the senses could one by one be removed, and yet you would still be here. Remove the sense of taste, and yet you remain. Remove the sense of smell, still you are. Remove the sense of touch, sight, hearing, and still you remain. Thoughts arise and pass, and still you are. Emotions and feelings come and go, and yet you remain. This is not a practice of negating the experience of life or our relationships, yet is being more available to life as it is unfolding here and now. No longer condensing things or limiting things into what we think they are, but allowing them to be as they are. Memory serves a purpose, imagination serves a purpose, yet no longer clinging to specific forms or names or shapes. Playing in the sandbox of life, allowing things to come and go, and residing in the heart of awareness, pure consciousness. Without the light of awareness, we would not be aware of the thoughts or emotions. Without the light of consciousness, none of the senses nor the sense objects would be known. Seer, sight and seen, doer, doing indeed. All things arise within the light of awareness. Know that you are. Know the sense, I am. I am is the very first that arises within consciousness. I am. Beingness itself. Awareness, beingness, the drop and the ocean. Noticing that awareness, consciousness, is like the sun itself, shining on all things, making the perceivable cosmos appear in the light of consciousness, letting it be known, bringing a subtle smile to the face, noticing that the smile feels almost like the breath, it feels life-giving. It feels life-promoting. A gentle, genuine, subtle smile is like the life-giving qualities of water or the sun or air, the breath of life itself. Use this loving awareness, this gentle smile, to shine loving awareness on all your thoughts and emotions, spreading this loving awareness over the entire body, all the joy, all the sorrow, all the past, all the future, all now. Smiling with loving awareness to your entire body, all your thoughts and emotions, extending this into the room that you're in, this loving awareness of the entire building, the house you're in, the community, the land you're on, all the animals and all the life forms, all the animate and inanimate objects, all the elements, the entire country, the entire world, smiling with loving awareness, gently embracing all in this moment, here and now, shedding the light of loving awareness onto all, into our solar system, the universe, the cosmos, space and time itself, all within the purview of this loving awareness. Bringing your awareness back to the body, back into the space that you're in, taking some nice deep breaths and shining this loving awareness in throughout all aspects of your day, through your thoughts, through your speech, through your actions, for the benefit of all beings. Thank you for joining today. May you all be well. May you all be peaceful. May you all be happy in all your challenges and all your blessings. You can rest in this loving